Good morning, knitters. This is Denise from Lost City Knits, and I'm out here on the deck outside of my house about to do a little bit of hand sewing. I'm planning to attach the second side of the trim to my Mary Tudor cardigan, and this trim just covers the steek stitches. I've got a few tools here. I've got sharp scissors. I'm using an Orifil 50 weight in a black because the ribbon is black. My needle is probably a 10 or 11 sharp. Just happened to be what I grabbed first. It's thin and lightweight, has a good pierce. So I'm going to set those aside along with some pins. And the first thing I'm going to do is take my scissors and trim my steek. Now you can see it's about 4 stitches wide here. And I'm going to trim it down to about 2 all the way up. I've got my hand underneath the raw edge so that I don't cut into the cardigan. Hi knitters, I'm back. I have secured my ribbon in place with pins. Now you can see up here I've trimmed down within 2 stitches of the button band. May have gotten down to 1 there. I'm not too worried about that. I'm not going to have any problems with it unraveling, especially once I get the trim in place. I've left that trim 1.5 inches or so long, and I'll fold it under, and I may trim it again once I get there. I'll decide that at that time. Now what I've done is taken my black thread and simply anchored it down here and started sewing up. Now I'm simply trying to whip stitch this as close as I can get to where I picked up for the button band. Now my finger on this side of my center finger is underneath the garment, so I can feel that if this needle goes through, I can back it back out a little bit because I don't want the needle to come all the way through and leave a black bit of thread there. So I only want to go through, 1 layer or so of wool. So I'm just going to whip stitch this up. I'm trying to get about 4 to 6 stitches to the inch. If you can get 8, that's great as well. Just a little whip stitch is fine. Now, my high school home ec teacher, Carolyn West, was really a lovely person, and she taught me a lot about wanting the garment to look as nice inside as it does outside. That's what gives it a little more of a professional appearance. And I think that has stuck with me through the years. I don't need a trim here. I could easily just tack that down and it would be fine. But I like the idea of it having a lovely finish to it. Just a little bit nicer than seeing a herringbone stitch on your wool. Here I am. I'm going to finish tacking this down up to the top and show you how I do it up there. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Hi knitters, I'm back and I've sewn all the way up to the end of my ribbon. Now what you'll see here is the little knob where the steek edge facing exists, and I'm just going to fold the ribbon over that. It's thereby encasing the raw edge inside the ribbon. Shift positions here, and I just making sure that's in place, and I'm going to gently tack it down. I'm going to stick 2 stitches here in the corner, just for extra security, and then move and start making my way down. Now if you hear some chattering sounds, the hummingbirds are out, and that may be them. We're in the middle of the flight zone, so if you see something whiz by, it could be a hummingbird. All right, I'm going to work my way back down, and I'll be back in just a moment. Hi knitters, I'm back having finished putting most of the trim on the steeks of Mary Tudor, and I'm just going to finish up and come around this corner. So I'm going to, I've once again encased that little nub of yarn fabric inside my ribbon and secure twice, secure with 2 stitches, let's say, and then take it around the corner. I'm back pretty much to where I started. I'm going to scoot over here and just secure it again, because it seems a good idea to do that. Hold that down. And then instead of knotting my thread, I've got a couple of good solid stitches in there. Bring my needle tip up, wrap it around the needle, hold it with my thumb out of the way, draw that tight, and then I'm just going to in and out run my needle with the thread in it to the far side. That gives it a little bit of an inch and makes it a little bit harder for it to just pull out. So there you go. The last thing to do with Mary Tudor will be to put on the button. Now, my buttonhole is right here, and I've already marked where the button will be, and I use a colored stitch marker there, coilless pin, and hold that in place and put the pin where I think it will be, where the button will need to be, and I test drive that by pulling it through, and that's a little bit easier to test drive with than a straight pin. So I've got, might move down just a hair there, and I found what I think is going to be a great button to go right here. This is one that my daughter, who is a silversmith, made for me a dozen years ago, and I will probably secure it right there. I have just a couple of these buttons, and I think it goes nicely. You've got some lovely curved shapes here which go well with the pattern itself. I will use just a little bit of the limpet yarn color to come up in and secure that in place, and then I'm ready to try it on. I probably will hold off doing that for another video or just a few snapshots later. So here you go, Mary Tudor. And here we are with Mary Tudor of the book Tudor Roses by Alice Starmore. I'm going to zoom in and show you just how things turned out a little bit. Here is the button, which I think looks quite good there. The trim, when you open it up with the gold roses, looks very good. I'm glad I had that in the stash. I'm also going to show you one other detail I think adds to the finish, and that is my initials are knitted into the sleeve on the right side. So that is the right sleeve and the back side of it. So there are DAB in script, which gives it a nice personal touch as well as the other items that I did. So there you go, Mary Tudor. Now, if we can just have a few cool days.